Live from the BiffNet Studios World Headquarters in Spring, Texas, it's Barry on Deck, hosted by former ESPN Houston radio host and stand-up comedian Barry Laminack, starring Oliver the Cat. Written by Barry Laminack, produced by Barry Laminack, directed by, you guessed it, Barry Laminack, featuring sports, entertainment, special guests, film sessions, and some drinking. Okay, a lot of drinking. Viewer discretion is advised. And now, here's your host, Barry Laminack.
Oh, what's up, you damn dirty deckheads? Welcome to Barry on Deck. I am your host, Barry Laminack. Fucking thank you guys for being here. Today is Monday, October 7th, 2024. And this is episode number 849 of Barry on Deck. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the program. Hey, hello, hi. How are you? Thanks for being here. Gosh, this is a struggle. I am struggle busting it, to say the least. Has he been calling me us dirty for 4 years? What? I'm struggle busting to say the least because I have been trying to transition. Let me finish. You see, you just jumped right into a dirty mind. You dirty minded. I know the first person to think anything was Alex Villanueva. Fuck you. Oh, and then it was FJ. Okay. No, I'm trying to move to a more flashier kind of, oh, what's it called? I guess I should say more, not a flashier, but, No, I'm not transitioning, and I want to finish. Shut up, someone else. I'm trying to move to a better looking, I guess you could say, graphics package for the show. And it has been the bane of my existence trying to get this shit done. One, OCD is real. And two, perfectionism is a motherfucker. Let me tell you what, I have spent, you don't even know how many hours just tinkering with it. Well, this is a pixel off. It is just a complete goddamn waste of time on my part because of my perfectionism. And it's all my fault. It's all my fault, I say. Not your fault. It is completely my fault. But I'm getting close. And what I would love nothing more than would be at some point than to have the topics over there on the right and have those posted for you throughout the day so that you kind of know what we're talking about and where we are throughout the show, this, that, and the third. I wrote a joke about that, by the way. I wanted to, I'm trying to figure out how to do it properly. It's like when you're talking with black people and they hit you with the this, that, and the third, they ain't got time to fuck with you. They got a story to tell, and they don't have time for all the bullshit and the details. They're just hitting you with the this, that, and the third. So that's what you need to know. So we're going to get to that. So part of, though, getting to these new graphics and this new graphics package is trying to get them loaded into the software. And I thought I had it, and then a lot of shit got messed up. So there may or may not be a bunch of graphics available for us today. Yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. I think I've got the interview slides back. Oh, shut up, Tony. I think I've got everything back to normal, at least for like the interviews and stuff. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be like a hodgepodge of graphics, I do believe. So, that's funny. So we'll get to that. We're going to talk a lot of college football today. Because, oh my word, college football was crazy this weekend. I mean, crazy with a capital Cray. It was insane, and I'm here for it. Lot of shenanigans, and hey, why are you yelling at me, sir? But yeah, a lot of shenanigans, a lot of tomfoolery, and a lot of upsets. And we'll talk about, and I normally would have a nice, pretty graphics package for you for the top 25. That's part of what got fucked up. But we'll talk about the top 25. How did that affect the top 25? And more specifically, I want to talk a little bit about how does that affect these teams that lost and got upset? What does that mean going forward? So we'll get into that. We'll talk a little NFL football injury updates. There were some big time injuries. We've got a birthday that occurred yesterday. Yes, yesterday. So we'll do that as well. And then a ton more. Plus, Genia's mom going to join me on the show today, as I mentioned earlier. So hopefully the graphics all work. She's going to be here at 3:15. And then, yeah, we're just going to get into it. A lot of sports to get to. Want to say thanks to everybody that's tuned in on Friday. I'm going to join my pal, Joel Blake. Good to do a usual suspects reunion. You know, that's always fun. That's always a good time. So, yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate everybody tuning in and your kind words. And also the toxic ESPN chat. It never lets you down. Jesus, that shit is it's awful. Oh my God. It's sad how awful that thing is. It really is. It's sad just how childish some of that shit is, but I digress. Let me show you real quick what I'm working on. I think I've showed you this, guys, before. Let me see. This is, here we go. Here we go. This is ultimately where I'm aiming to get to. Long term, I'm hoping that this is where we could be with what the show would look like. So this would be what the show is going to look like going forward with the graphics package, right? So over here would be all the topics, which would be fantastic. Down below would be all of the either like scores. I want to have a rolling scoreboard going down here. Down in the corner would be like social media stuff or what have you. And also down below, along with the rolling scoreboard, would also be your chat messages. As you know, like right now, when you guys chat, I'll pop up the chat message like this. Oh, where is it? Shit. All right, like this. There's Tony the Handsome's chat right there. Those dudes are Nazis. Well, there you go. So yeah, so it would look like, it's not going to look like that though. What it would look like going forward for your chat messages would be, where is it? Uh-oh, I seem to have lost it. Oh, fuck. Yeah, uh-oh. That's not good. Okay, I thought I had it, and I don't anymore. I have apparently lost it. Oh, well. Huh. It was here. And now it's not here. That's crazy. It was here just not too long ago. Oh well. See, I tell you, this is good times. Oh. Yeah, good times indeed. Shit is all jacked up. Nonetheless, that's what it's going to look like going forward. This is what the screen will look like, and this will be for interviews and everything else. And the whole point will be having the topics over there, and then as we change topics, you'll know what topic we're on. It'll be highlighted. So that'll be cool eventually when we get there. We're just not there yet. So until then, just gonna have to deal with this. Huh? Yeah, well, all right. Tons to get to. Real quick, though, before we do, I do want to say thank you to a few folks. I didn't get to this Thursday, and I felt terrible when I don't get to it. I feel like an asshole. But I did want to say thanks to PP Dubs, Donna, Sylvia, Jen, and Keith for their Thankful Thursdays last week. PP Dubs sent in a $7 Thankful Thursday. Donna, Sylvia, and Jen sent in a $5 Thankful Thursday. And Keith had sent in one last week early on PayPal. And I never said thank you for that. So I did want to say thank you. As always, you guys and your support is critical, crucial. And without it, this show doesn't happen. So thank you guys so much for continuing to support this show and make it possible. Without you, this show doesn't happen. I'm just, probably sacking groceries at HEB, living the good life. So, yeah. And Potch, thank you for resubscribing, buddy. Potch just resubscribed for 32 months. He said, our sub baby's getting so old. Yeah, what do kids do at 32 months? What is that? That's 8. That's almost, I don't know. That's almost 3 years old. What do kids do at 3 years old besides stink? I just feel like kids stink for like the first 8 years of their life. I don't know. I'm still team fuck them kids. God. Kids are the worst. I mean, really. Kids are the worst. I don't know. Smoke and drive. No, John Dorier, kids don't smoke and drive. Kids don't smoke and drive. Shut up. They don't learn their ABCs at what? At 8 or at 3? Okay. You know what? You guys are weird. I'm going to bring Jenny's mom in early. She's sitting in the green room waiting patiently. She's not paying attention right now. Oh, she is? You want to come in early, Mom? You want to do it early? Yeah, you want to go in early? That way we can get you out early? Yeah? Are you ready? She's like, yay, look at that. He's not going to make me wait 15 minutes for no fucking reason. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, joining me on the show, she popped in early, which is good because we started late, so this all kind of works out perfectly. She joins me every single Monday. It is a lot of fun. And you never know what's going to happen. You never know what we're going to talk about, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. And you never know what craziness is going to ensue. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please help me welcome to the program, the one, the only, Jenny is mom, everybody. Hello, mother. How are you?
Hey, actually, I was doing some work while I was waiting.
Oh, really? Oh, that's what they all say. What?
Yeah, no, yes. I was sitting here listening to you talking about where you're just going to have to go sack groceries at
Yes.
HEB. You could always go back to being a shoe salesman.
Oh, God. Jesus, that was... Ugh.
Oh, my God.
That was awful. Those were not the days. Those were, Jesus, that was rough. Yeah, that was, you know what, though? I mean, for a high school kid, I made pretty good money.
You did. Yes, you did.
I did.
So a lot of shoes.
Yeah, a lot of feet. I tell you what.
Talk your way through that.
Working at Sharpstown Mall was an interesting foray.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I forgot you were at Sharpstown.
Do you remember?
What was the name of the store you worked for?
Journeys.
Journeys? Yeah.
Mother, do you remember the time I was working at Sharpstown Mall? I was driving home from Sharpstown. Now, chat, we lived in a place called Winfern Gardens. And this was off of, at the time, there was no Beltway, or there was, but it wasn't like it is now. It was very isolated back then and shit like that. So, but we lived kind of off the Beltway. It was right near Jersey Village, the city of Jersey Village. I went to Jersey Village High School, but that's kind of where we lived. I'm driving home one day from work, and I notice that my car is going.
Oh, car.
And I was like, what? Yes, I drove an Oldsmobile Omega. It was the biggest piece of shit. It was I broke the turn signal, so I had to have a screwdriver that I would pop up to turn right, and I would
we've all had
pop
cars
it down
like
to
that.
turn left. Yeah, but you know what? It worked. It got me where I needed to go, right? But I just remember driving, and it was just like, and I was like, what the hell is this? So I pulled over, and I looked around the car, and I'm looking, and I don't see anything, right? I don't see anything out of the ordinary. So I was like, oh, that's weird. Well, I guess everything's okay. So I get back in the car, and I'm driving, and it's just vibrating like crazy. I'm like, what is going on? This is crazy. And so I can't go too fast. Now, remind you, this is Sharpstown Mall.
Not a good place to get.
We're in Jersey Village, all right? So I'm going from Sharpstown Mall to Jersey Village on the Beltway. It's a long drive in a car that's going the whole time. You can't go over like 35 miles an hour. So I finally get to, I don't know where it was. It was somewhere around 290. And I just remember it was by this old swingers bar, I think. But I'm coming up on this.
I remember that bar.
Yeah.
I remember that bar.
How did you know this? No. No wonder you always bought pineapples for the house, mother.
No. I just heard about it.
Oh, right.
Story.
I just happen to hear about marijuana every once in a while too, Jenny.
Go on with your story.
So I come up on this. I'm doing, see, Potch was, why does Jenny know? Yeah, exactly. See, you shouldn't, you
Potch,
just.
Stop it.
So I hit this, I'm doing about 35, and I hit this train track. Look, FJ goes, oh, Little York? Yeah, everybody knew that swingers bar on Little York. Everybody knew it. So I'm driving, and I'm doing probably 35 or so, and I hit this train track, and, it's just like a hump. And I hit this train track, and when I hit it at 35, I feel like I go airborne. And when I hit the train track, I feel like I go airborne for a split second, and then my car goes, and I was like, what the fuck was that? And my whole front end, bam, hits the concrete. My right front end just bam. And I skid. to a stop. Right now, my car is leaning, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? I'm doing 35. Bam! Oh my God. And I come to a stop, and I'm sitting there. I was like, what was that? And as I'm sitting there, my tire passes me
I remember that.
on the belt. I was like, what the
Didn't
fuck
your
was
axle
that?
break or something?
No, my tire came off. I guess the lug nuts were loose.
That's why you were.
And it was
so
wobbling
much
the whole
about
time I
cars.
was driving. It was like, bloop, 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 bloop. And I guess when I hit that railroad, it just bap, and it just came off. And then my car hit, and that son of a bitch, when I skidded, because, I couldn't steer that, kind of. And I come to a stop, and there goes my tire.
Oh my God.
It just passes me, and I was like,
you and I don't know how we made it through those years. I
Jesus,
swear.
we had some of the worst luck with shit.
Oh my God. But we made it. We made it.
Yeah, we did. But that was like,
odd.
that was so weird because, and of course I get out and I look, and I was like, well, nothing's wrong. Let me get back in. Of course, nothing's
God, I
wrong because,
remember that
I'm
old
not
car.
checking the lug nuts. Hell, I didn't know. I was probably, 16, 17?
Yeah, you weren't real car savvy.
No, I
Neither
never was.
I.
Dad never showed me anything about how to
No.
work on a car. I don't know. I
No.
mean, I could change a tire, and I kind of knew how to change oil, but it was...
Well, I could change the tire, and I did change my oil, but that was about it. But I had to because I didn't have any money, so I
Yeah.
had to change my own oil.
You know what, Mom? It's funny you say that. I remember a story. Hey, what up, Dre? Good to see you, buddy. I remember a story. Not even a story. I just remember this happening. And to this day, I don't know why it happened or how it happened or what it was. But I remember at one point, single mom raising 2 kids. And this might have been, gosh, I don't know if we were still in Tower Oaks Plaza or if maybe we were in Barwood, but it was early on after you and Dad got divorced. And you might have been struggling financially, right?
I was always struggling.
No, that's true. You were always struggling financially for a while.
Yeah.
But I remember at one point, didn't you come out and in your car there was an envelope full of money on the dash?
Yes, that was in Tower Oaks.
Isn't that the
And
weirdest? Tell the people this story, because this was like the weirdest.
Yeah,
thing.
I was.
Set up the story. Tell the
Okay, well, we
the-
had separated. I don't think we were divorced yet. We might have been, but I was working. I was teaching, and I was tutoring, and I was also working on the weekends. So I was working several jobs, trying to make it. And I remember for some reason that week I didn't know how I was going to buy groceries, and it was, I didn't know what to do because I was taking as many jobs and much work as I could. And I went out to my car, and there was an envelope in my car.
Well,
Now,
this was at the
my
gas
car
station,
was
right?
locked.
Yeah, this
no,
was at,
no, this was this was at my house.
I thought it was at
No,
the
it wasn't
gas
a
station.
No, it was at the house. I went out to my car, and the
See,
doors were
I
locked.
thought you had said that you had pumped gas and you went in to pay, and then you came back out, and that's where you found the envelope.
Well, maybe
And it was on the
it.
dash. I really
God,
think
see,
that that's what it
Alzheimer's
was.
is already
Yeah.
setting in.
I really
Okay.
think that you had went to the gas station and you had went in to pump gas, and you were like down to the last of your money.
That's right.
You were down to like the last of your money just to put gas in the car, and you were like, I don't know how I'm gonna buy groceries because I got to pay for gas.
And I went out. That's right. And I went out to the car, and there was an envelope with $100 in it. Now, let me tell you, $100 back then.
That'd be
That
like
was
getting
a lot of money.
$1,000 right now. Honestly.
Oh yeah. I mean, for
Yeah.
$100, I could buy a lot of groceries. Never knew where that money came from.
It's the
No one ever
wildest
came
thing.
up and said. I often thought. I tell you who I thought it was. Always thought it was my sister.
You think so?
Yeah, I always thought it was her. Yeah, she knew the situation I was in, but
Mm-hmm.
she was one that gave and never wanted credit for it, and I always thought that might have
Really?
been her.
That's so
Yeah,
sweet.
she was really she was like that. But I to this day I don't know. But I tell you what,
It was a
I had a
lifesaver,
lot of
wasn't it?
prayers going on, and then it just appeared. So it
Like,
was
everybody in the chat's like, "You're welcome. It was mine. Pay me back. You owe me."
they were so funny. You
But that
talk about
was,
giving from the heart. That's somebody that was giving
yeah,
from the
it
heart.
was because no one asked for credit. And like, yeah, you don't
Mm-mm.
understand when it's like when you're struggling as a single mom with two kids and one of them is, has problems, and
Yeah,
those
yeah.
problems are causing more problems financially and with the
Mm-hmm.
family, and it becomes an issue. And
Yeah.
man, it was tough. It was real tough. And I'll never forget that as long as I live.
I'll
Just
never forget it
what
either.
a
I
crazy
always said I had a
moment that was.
guardian angel somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, you definitely do.
Oh, I know. I've been saved from many terrible situations by, yeah,
You and
listening
your
to that little
intuition,
voice.
you and your I don't know if it's women's intuition or if it's what it is, but you get
It's my
that
guardian angel.
feeling and you're like, you've saved yourself and us,
And
and
you.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, women, I think women have, ask the women in the chat. Women have
All
I
right, I'll
think
ask
we have a
Tony, do you
built,
have that?
we have a
And he
built
acts like
in,
a
I
bitch,
think,
so
intuition about things. You know how they always say, go with your gut?
yeah.
It's kind of like, yeah, if it doesn't feel right, or you get this, I used to get this whole thing that came over me like danger, danger, it's just
Yeah.
real strong.
I think
So,
people get it, but you have to pay attention to it too. You know what I
oh,
mean? Some people
absolutely.
don't. Well, that's what you get, Tony. I don't know for what, but that's what you get. Tony's like, what the heck? That's what you get for earlier saying you're leaving because you don't have the graphics, asshole.
Oh, I love the
Tony's the
chat. Hey, it
best.
was great. By the way, it was great seeing the deckheads at the Hop Scholar.
Oh,
That's how long
Robert
it's
and
been since
FJ.
I
Yeah.
talked to you.
Robert and
Yeah,
Katie and
yeah,
FJ. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was neat.
it's always fun. FJ's so great, man. FJ comes to so many comedy
I
shows.
know. I see him.
Robert and Katie have never missed a Hop Scholar, but
I
FJ
know. I love them.
is a trooper,
Mm.
man. He comes to so many shows that end up just being
And Katie's
awful.
got a new job teaching. I'm so
Yeah,
proud of her. She got, yeah, it was really
yeah.
cool. We had a lot of
FJ,
fun.
poor FJ, man. He's come to so many shows, and I'm like, bro, you just gotta ask me first, because he'll just show up, and I'm like, oh man. Ugh, I'm sorry. Let me buy you a beer. This shit is awful. But at least Hop Scholar was good. I made up for it. 'Cause
Yeah,
he came to
it was-
one. I won't mention
you've
any
been busy.
names.
You've been busy.
Huh?
Chris called me today. Chris called me today just before the show, and he goes, "Man, that Barry has been busy. I guess he heard you with Joel and the new
Yeah,
comedy
yeah,
club
shit.
and all that."
Yeah. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week. It was like improv and then punchline and then ESPN and yeah.
It's crazy.
It's been busy, so that's good. I mean, you know.
Well, I do have to get a plug in from a Cougars
Okay,
before we go.
let's talk about them.
I can't believe they won a game.
I can't believe they won that game, but yeah,
I can't
game
either.
nonetheless.
I was like, what? I turned it in and I was in shock. I mean, it's like, I don't know who lit fire under them, but that was,
Well, I
the
mean, they
Aggie
had
game, of
one,
course,
right?
was great.
They've won two, haven't they?
One. They had one other one. Yeah, they
Oh,
only
I thought
won
they had
one
won
against
two
Rice.
before that one.
No. Mm-mm.
God, they're that bad.
No, I think they're 2-4 now. I think.
Jesus, I'm trying to find the score. Oh, here we go. Yeah, that's
That was pretty everything. I was very disappointed in the Astros. We won't go into that. The Texans, it was great. It was a sports weekend. I'm like you. I watched a lot of games, a lot of college games.
Oh yeah, they are 2-4 now. Here we go. Look
Yeah,
at that.
they're
Look at that.
2-4.
There you go. 30-19. Yeah, something
I
happened.
can't believe that.
They were up
I don't know what
17 to
happened
nothing.
to 'em.
Of course, TCU's not TCU, but
Yeah, but come on, they're better than the Cougars. Well, evidently not. But,
everybody is.
you know.
I mean,
Everybody's better than it. Except my friend Tom, who played football at Baylor. He and I were watching the Baylor game together. I mean, not watching it together, but texting back and forth. And he said, well, I guess Baylor's going to be in the cellar all by itself now because Baylor's having a terrible year.
God.
They
It's
haven't won a
weird.
game.
It's so crazy how the Big 12 and what used to be the powerhouses of the Big 12 have just been abysmal.
Well, TC, didn't they play in
TCU,
the
national championship
playoff
game. Yeah,
2
not too
years
long ago.
ago?
TCU,
Yeah.
Tech, Baylor. I mean, these all used to be, I mean, not Tech wasn't like, a
Powerhouse,
national
but,
powerhouse, but they were a respectable, they were a team you had to be, you couldn't just walk in and, it wasn't an instant W.
Wasn't a
You were-
pushover.
yeah, especially in the Mike Leach days when you had Crabtree or you had, a little bit later on, you had Mahomes, and there were you had to respect it somewhat.
Yeah.
Man, they're awful. TCU's bad now.
Texas
SMU's
Tech, did they win? Did Tech
Yeah,
win?
Tech is actually
thought
getting
they
some
did.
votes now for top 25. They're a little
Really?
more respectable. Yeah, they're a little more
Wow.
respectable now. So, but just the whole Big 12 as a whole is just not the same Big 12. It's kind of just all the leftovers and castaways from the old Big 12.
I know.
So
I know. Except in basketball. They reign in basketball.
yeah.
Big 12.
Big 12 basketball.
Big 12 reign. Yeah.
Big 12
it's big.
football is.
Yeah.
It's like Amos just said. They're all in the SEC now. So.
Yeah.
Mark my words, though.
Yeah.
You'll see in the headlines coming up, Mom. There's some things in the works. I said this last week. I still need to cut up the video and put it on the interwebs before people start saying I just made this up. But I talked about this last week or the week before. If the NFL is not careful, the college football and the NCAA are going to have a product that competes with it because there's a judgment that's about to come down. There's a settlement, I should say, that will allow colleges to pay players. So if that happens, look out. And the reason I say that is because, and I'm going to go into this a little bit further in the show, but look, the NFL is 32 teams and 32 billionaires. And that's a lot of money, and that's a big, but think about this. Think about how many millionaires go to one school or graduated, I should say, from one school.
Graduated from a school. Absolutely.
And they can all throw their money in there. And so, yeah, you may have a guy like Tillman Fertitta who doesn't own a football program, right? Or you may have, he doesn't own an NFL team and can't. But he could take his money and U of H can take their money. And now it's like he owns a football team. You know what I mean? Or T. Boone Pickens at Oklahoma State. Or there are these guys that are millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires that have that money. And yeah, Total Dallas said SMU has millionaires. That's part of why you're seeing so much parity. That's part of why you're seeing Rutgers going undefeated until they lost this week. And SMU
look
is
at Army
playing
and
better.
Navy.
I mean,
They're 5-0.
NIL money has leveled the playing field. And it's going to continue to do that because the one thing that a lot of these schools have is money. And in the past, nobody could use it. So recruiting was based on under the table money and clout. And it's no longer that. And we got
a nice facility and
and it's no longer that. Now it's not just clout. Kids want to get paid. And they'll go where the money is. Because if you think, some of these kids are just, I mean, if you look at Travis Hunter, he followed Dion because he wanted to follow Dion, but he got paid too. He could have went anywhere.
Yeah.
But he didn't have to go to Alabama or Ohio State or something like that to have a chance at the NFL, one, and two, he could still go to Colorado and make a ton of money at the same time. So it really levels the playing field. These kids don't have to just pick and choose the cream of the crop schools, these blue chip schools, to have a chance to go make money at the NFL now. So
yeah, and it's only fair. I mean, if you think about the money that these kids are responsible for these colleges, for all of the other programs they bring money in for, I mean, fair is fair.
Yeah.
So You know,
Yep.
and they're looking at these guys playing NFL that are making millions and millions and millions, and these kids are playing college and they're putting their lives out there and their body, and yeah, so
Oh,
I'm
they're
all for
making,
that.
yeah, I'd be curious. I mean, when you look at, I think I did this once. If you look at what the NFL revenue is and the NCAA revenue is, those kids are making the programs a lot of money. And
A
just like
lot
the
of
players
money,
are.
millions and millions and millions.
Billions.
So
Let's see.
yeah, and the alumni support A&M in Texas and some of these big schools. I mean, there's a lot of money
Let's
going around
see.
for sports.
It says a year ago, NCAA brought in nearly 1.3 billion in revenue, with most of that number, 945, coming from media deals. So,
Wow.
yeah,
That's a lot of money. And the kids
Yeah.
aren't getting anything. And they're the
Well,
reason for it.
They weren't. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
that's the thing. And then when you think about it, the majority of that's probably, if it's coming from media deals, then that's Big Ten, SEC. I mean, you know what I mean? So that's, again, you're about to see, mark my words, Jenny, write it down, put it in your little notebook, write it down. You're about to see two conferences. It's right now, it's the Big Ten and the SEC
And SEC.
and the ACC and the Big 12. So it used to be the Power 5. The Pac-12 is no more. A lot of those teams went to the Big 10. A lot of the upper echelon schools in the Big 12 went to the SEC. But right now, in fact, the SEC and the Big 12 are in talks about scheduling games against each other. That is step number
wow.
2. I mean, you're talking one conference has 18 schools, the other one has 16. All they need to do is absorb the 4 or 5 best teams from the ACC and the rest of the best teams from the Big 12, and you basically have 2 power conferences that,
Like you do in the NFL.
that's exactly right. That's what I said 2 weeks ago. You're
AFL,
basically going to
NFL,
have the North and the South. You're going to divide them into divisions, and it might be the West and the East of each, or whatever, however you do it. But you're basically recreating the NFL, but you're just doing it with younger players. And now you have an entire sport that can actually compete with the NFL. The XFL couldn't do it. The USFL couldn't do it, but this one can, and they generate a ton of revenue doing it. So the NFL better be careful. They better be real
and
careful.
and college ball is so exciting and it's so fun. So I mean, not that NFL isn't, but there's a lot of changes coming down.
Yep.
A lot of changes coming down.
Yes, indeed.
So go Rockets! The Rockets are going to be good
Rockets
this
start
year.
today,
I'm
don't
excited
they?
about them.
NBA starts today,
Yeah,
I do believe.
preseason.
Yep. Jazz, they're playing
yeah.
the Jazz. The Rockets are, this will be their first game. Jazz are 1-0. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, mother.
So,
I love you to
anyway.
death. Thank you for doing it.
Bye,
See you next
everyone.
Monday.
I'll see you next week.
Love you, Mom. All right,
Love
everybody.
you.
Jenny's mom joins me every single Monday right here on Barry on Deck. All right, let's do it. Let's get into our headlines. That'll be one of them, and then we'll roll into some scores from this weekend's college football madness, because it was insane, and I want to talk about the implications of the top 25 and beyond and what all that means. So let's get to our headlines first. Let go. All right, here's your sports headlines for the day. Well, the first one comes to us from the NFL. Jabril Peppers has pleaded not guilty to charges of strangulation and drug possession. And this all went down on Saturday. He was arrested Saturday on charges of strangulation and drug possession. And let me pull up this. Let me get it over here. Skiggity Big said yikers. Yeah. Police announced Peppers' arrest on Monday, saying they responded to a disturbance at a residential address when a caller indicated there was an altercation between 2 people. Peppers turned 29 on Friday, was charged with assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, strangulation, and possession of a Class B substance believed to be cocaine. According to Braintree Police, the woman alleged that Peppers hit her, choked her at least 6 times, took off her clothing, and put her outside. Police also said Peppers shoved the woman to the ground, shoved her head into a wall, and put his hands around her neck to strangle her. The police report also said the officers confiscated a clear bag containing white, powdery substance. You know, he's going to be like, well, it's just a pre-workout. Okay. Police said the woman was treated at home for injuries to her face and knees. The woman told police that she and Peppers had been dating on and off for about 3 years. Peppers pled not guilty during his arraignment, posted $2,500 bail, and was ordered to stay away from the woman. Next hearing is scheduled for November 22nd. In a statement, the Patriots said they're aware of an incident involving Jabril Peppers over the weekend in which the police are currently investigating. Peppers is a team captain. He didn't play in the Patriots' 15-10 loss to the Dolphins. He had been limited in practice last week because of a shoulder injury. Obviously not bothering him enough to allegedly beat up a woman. He called me that morning. I know what was going on. Coach Gerard Mayo said, we've informed the NFL. I don't think anyone knows the facts or anything like that. It's a process. We don't know enough to say he shouldn't be in the building, Mayo said. Pepper signed a 3-year, $24 million extension in July. So, and while I do agree, you've got to, we've heard enough cautionary tales in the past from both sides, and then, about women and coming forward and this actually being true more often than not, but also women coming forward and it, not fully being what it's made out to be. So obviously you have to let the legal system do its job. But as Potch said, not a good look. Not a good look at all, especially when you find things in the police report like a clear bag with a white substance, treated for injuries at her home on scene. I mean, these are all things that are documented in the police report. You don't know why she was injured. You don't know if it was self-defense on his part. But come on. Come on. I mean, I'm still going to always be team believe women. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to have a hard time believing that a woman beat up Jabril Peppers and he's the victim here. You're just going to have a hard time convincing me of that. So, but we'll find out. We shall find out. And not a good look. Not something you want to see if you're the Patriots. That's for damn sure. From your team captain. Yeah. Skiggity said rowdy powder found on scene. Not a good look. Yeah. None of that's a good look. Choking a woman. Not a good look. Beating her up. Not a good look. Stripping her naked and throwing her outside. Not a good look. Having cocaine. Not a good look. Alex said maybe he was going to bake cookies and it was flour. Yeah, it was my pre-workout. Nope. That's not how that works. So, hey, what's up, Cisco's? Cisco's at the Buc-ee's in Luling. Oh, nice. Do you have to poop? He's probably already in there pooping. I think men need classes in how to behave around women. Yeah. You know what's sad? You shouldn't have to do that. There shouldn't be the need. I mean, for fuck's sake. I don't know. You feel like if people were raised right, and maybe that's part of the problem. You shouldn't need a class to tell you how to treat another human being. You know? I digress. All right. We talked a little bit about it when Jenny and his mom was here, but a settlement designed to pay college athletes has gotten preliminary approval. Where'd it go? There we go. And it says college athletes move to one significant step closer money to a future in which they can be paid directly by their schools. Right now, it's a very convoluted yet still feasible way of doing it, in that schools cannot directly just scratch you a check. But what they can do is go out and get sponsors to sponsor the football team. to sponsor the volleyball team, to sponsor the athletes. Hey, Cal Worthington, do you want to sponsor Rice football and give everyone a Chevy Nova? A lot of weird references right now. So, yeah. Sure enough, they can all go see Cal, go see Cal, go see Cal. And then he gives everybody a car, and that's a roundabout way of doing it. And then now the school doesn't actually pay for the car or give them a car, but they go out and get this, and everybody wins. You know what I'm saying? So, but what we're talking about here with this settlement is we're one step closer to the schools just being able to scratch out a check to all the players. And not just football. College athletes. Not just football. Judge Claudia Wilkin granted preliminary approval to the terms of an industry-changing antitrust settlement Monday morning, accepting a series of changes made by attorneys representing all Division I athletes, the NCAA, and its Power 5 conferences. Wilkin initially raised concerns that some elements of the settlement would limit future payments to players and fail to pass legal muster. But she wrote in her ruling this week that the court, quote, will likely be able to approve the settlement as fair, reasonable, and adequate. Wilkins' order also established a schedule for the remaining steps to finalize the deal. Any athletes impacted by the settlement will have until January 31st to file objections or opt out. A final hearing to approve the deal is scheduled for April 7, 2025. Coincidentally, the same day as the men's basketball championship game. In May, attorneys for all parties agreed to settle a trio of antitrust lawsuits. House versus NCAA. Go get them, Reverend. Hubbard versus NCAA and Carter versus NCAA. They claim the association's rules are illegally restricting the earning potential of college athletes. NCAA agreed to pay roughly $2.8 billion in damages to former and current college athletes. Deal also eliminates the restrictions on schools directly paying their players, which have long been a cornerstone of NCAA's amateurism rules. If the settlement is finalized starting next year, schools will be allowed to pay their players up to a certain limit. The cap is expected to start at slightly more than $20 million per school, an increase on an annual basis. I don't know about that. We're thrilled that we're one step closer to revolutionary change in college sports that will allow NCAA athletes to share in billions of revenue, said Steve Berman, co-lead counsel for the plaintiffs. NCAA President Charlie Baker previously had said the settlement is a key step towards reshaping the economic model of college sports into one in which athletes can be paid without being considered employees. Baker said this summer that the NCAA would still need for help from Congress to stop several pending legal challenges that claim college athletes should be considered employees of their schools. We're thrilled by Judge Wilkins' decision. To give preliminary approval to the landmark settlement that will help bring stability and sustainability to college athletics while delivering increased benefits to student athletes for years to come. And I think that's interesting that that's kind of part of the sticking point is, are they an employee? Well, I mean, I know there's ramifications of that as far as insurance, and because I guarantee you that's part of it. They don't want to be on the hook for a lifetime of insurance should one of these kids get hurt or, require long-term medical care. Think about how many kids are playing sports. And if they're not an employee, then they don't have to do that. Because you're not injured on the job. That's a big difference. But we'll see. I think if you just look at it from the standpoint of business, are they subcontractors? I think Ugh, my keyboard is dirty as shit. I think that's what the NCAA wants. That's the angle that they're going after. But that was also what the UFC was going after. Right? That was what, that's right, Donna. All benefits, actually. 401k, right? Medical, dental, eye, vision, all that shit. But that's part of what the UFC was trying to avoid for so long. Was, no, you're just a subcontractor. You're a 1099. You're not an employee, so we bring you in, we contract you out for 3 fights. That's it. And what that also avoids is any opportunity to unionize. And I think that is what the NCAA is really scared about. More so than benefits, more so than employee opportunities or employee complications. What the NCAA really doesn't want is a student athlete union. That's what they're scared of. And when we talked about it, I talked about it last week with the UFC. That's why Dana White was so adamant about this antitrust suit and not having, employees as fighters and fighters as employees. Because it's like, no, man, because if they're all employees, they can unionize. And once they unionize, now they can negotiate just like the NFL Players Association, MLB Players Association, and NBA Players Association. And now those revenue splits and the money that the UFC makes and decreases significantly because now they have to, the split with the fighters goes up tenfold. And the same would be true in college. If these kids are just students, just out there playing games, we'll give them a little bit here, $20 million, no big deal. That seems fair. Sure, it seems fair. It seems fair until all of the football players in the 2 major conferences realize we're making all the fucking money here. We're making all the money. Us and the basketball players in the tournament. Like, we're making all the money. What are we doing? You've got a $20 million, pool and you're giving, hey, well, Title IX says we've got to give the female. Okay, well, fuck all that. Like, what are we doing? So they're worried about that. They're worried about employees. They're worried about unionizing. They're worried. There's a ton of ramifications of this. And I mean, the NCAA should be very, very scared. I think at the end of the day, a student union, a student athlete union, it's really bad news for the NCAA. It's really bad news for college football programs. It's great news for the athletes. It's great news for their pocketbooks. It also could be bad news for the fans. Ticket prices are going to go up more. You may not be able to see, students might not be able to go to as many games because of the costs. So, I mean, there are other ramifications of this. Yes, I want to see the athletes get paid, but somebody's got to pay for it. And guess who is not going to just foot the bill for all this? The colleges. They're going to pass it on to you and me. So while I want to see the kids get paid, absolutely, you and I are going to pay for it, just so you know. Just so we're clear. But we're paying for it anyways. Don't get me wrong. We're already paying out the nose for all of these tickets. The difference is the colleges are keeping all the money. And the NCAA is keeping all the money. And now they got to give it back to the students. So all they're going to do is just give it back and raise the prices. In the end, I promise you, the consumer, the fan, we're the ones that'll get screwed. We always do. It won't be the athlete. It won't be the school. It won't be the coaches. And it won't be the programs. It'll be us, the fans, the viewers. We'll be the ones that get fucked. I promise you. Promise you that. Harvard or Pasha, didn't Harvard try to unionize? Yeah, I think they did. I'm not 100% sure. I think they did, but that was a while ago, if I'm not mistaken, and that could be part of this antitrust suit. But they couldn't unionize because they're not employees, and that's what the NCAA is so adamant about. Hey, what up, Jaime? Yeah, that's part of it. Oh, I'm glad you did. Jaime said I caught you on the ride home on ESPN. Good, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, I think that was part of, how can you unionize? You can form a student union, but you can't unionize as an employee if you're not an employee of the school. So that's the key sticking point. So, all right, let's get into some college football. Yeah, baby. Now, look, I had pretty graphics. I don't know what the fuck happened to it. It's hard to be a union if you don't have a job, right? Ain't that the truth, baby? I had all of these pretty graphics. See, look, this shit ain't populated no more. I don't know what happened. It was all here. It showed all the teams. Oh, it was Northwestern. Oh, it was one of them nerd ass schools. I don't know what happened, but let's pull up the schedule and then we'll pull up the top 25. Actually, let's pull up the schedule first. Because holy shit. Things got buck wild in college football this weekend. And I mean buck wild. So many upsets. So much craziness. It started on Friday when UNLV was kind of the hot ringy dingy simply because, like I said, when Jenny's mom was here, seeing a lot more parity in college football this year, and some of that does have to do with this money that's being passed out. But UNLV was one of those teams that was having a fantastic start to its season. UNLV, all the service academies, specifically Army and Navy, Rutgers. Who else? Oh gosh, there was another one. Oh God, I'm blanking on a couple others. But there were several teams that were off to a really surprisingly good start for them. And a lot of that just has to do with the parity of being able to get money for good players to come play for your school that maybe otherwise you wouldn't get. They would go be backups at a better program somewhere. And it's more advantageous for them to maybe go play because, you know what? Yeah, I might not be a guy that's going to play in the NFL right away. Sure. So maybe I'll go to Bama and be a backup or third string. Or maybe I'll go to Mississippi State and be a backup. But at least I'm in the SEC. I'm greatness adjacent. Why would I want to go to UNLV and be a starter? Ugh, ain't nobody paying attention to that. But if I'm at Mississippi State, I'm in the conversation. I'm in the SEC. But then if UNLV's like, oh baby, we'll pay you. You can come make $250K a year playing football for us. Then cats are like, oh. So I can make $1 million over 4 years playing football at UNLV? Yes, please. And people might recognize it okay, let's do it. And so this is why part of why you're seeing some parity. UNLV 25th in the country, but then they go out and lose to Syracuse in overtime. So that was on Friday. And then all hell broke loose. Well, by the way, I want to mention Oregon wins again, and this is important. Oregon started off number 3 in the country preseason polls. And I told you guys, look, I think Oregon could go undefeated this season. I really do. Oregon's a good football team. Dan Lanning had them guys raring and ready to go last season. They were unable to finish. I was a big believer in Oregon coming into this season, as you guys know, and they faltered early. They haven't lost, mind you, but they didn't look great coming out of the gates, and they got dinged in the polls because of it. They fell all the way down to 9 at some point, I want to say by week 3. But all they've done is win. All they've done is win. And now they're back. So we'll see. But Oregon wins. They beat Michigan State. And yeah, Donna and Potch propping up Sam Houston. Go Bearcats. Potch says Sam Houston's 4-1. And you might ask, why is that a big deal? Well, remember now, Sam Houston State used to be Division II. Well, they used to just be, what was it, FCS school? But now they're up here stomping with the big boys. And they're 4-1 now. So let's see who they beat. They've beaten Rice, Hawaii, New Mexico State, Texas State, and UTEP. Okay. I see you, Sam Houston State. Only loss was to UCF. Okay. 2-0 in Conference USA. 5-1 overall. Man, look at Conference USA. Remember back when Conference USA used to have good teams? Look at that now. U of H used to be Conference USA. Now it's Liberty, Sam Houston, Western Kentucky, Florida International, Jacksonville State, Louisiana Tech, Middle Tennessee, Kennesaw State, New Mexico State, and UTEP. Golly. Look. So that's 2024. Let's go 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was Marshall, Middle Tennessee, UAB, Western Kentucky, Old Dominion, Florida International, Florida Atlantic, Louisiana Tech, Rice, UTEP, UT San Antonio, North Texas, and Southern Miss. Let's see. Wasn't U of H in there at one point for a hot minute? Wasn't U of H Conference USA? Well, then when was U of H Conference USA? Oh, there you go. 2010. Look at Conference USA. UCF Golden Knights, East Carolina, Marshall, UAB, Memphis, Southern Miss, SMU, Tulsa. Golly. 14 years later, and it's like, who? The what? The who what? The huh? The who to what to who? My. But whatever. So yeah, but shout out to Sam Houston State. You got to play who you play. You got to just play your sketch. But they did, and good win for them. All right, but Sunday got buck wild. Okay, Sunday they got buck wild. Let's see, can I just do top 25? No. I'd like to do just top 25, but they won't. But the big one, the big one, obviously, was Vanderbilt beating Bama. And has somebody done a wellness check on CC? And I know she's not here. And I know why. She didn't want to put up with y'all's bullshit. She knew that she comes in here, she got to listen to Total Dallas yell shit like Fall Tide, and you guys are mean, and you talk your shit, and she's not in the mood for it. And bless her heart. That's got to be just an absolutely brutal loss if you're a Bama fan. Brutal loss. I mean, brutal. And watching the game, that first half, like I had watched, first of all, I watched the A&M game. And then they were like, well, you got to flip over to this Bama game. Vanderbilt's. And I was like, yeah, whatever. So I flip over to it. And sure as shit, Vanderbilt, that first half, it's like, okay. And then, they go into halftime with a lead. And they were like, what do you think is the key here, coach? He's like, we just got to play Vanderbilt football. I'm sorry, what? Is there such a thing? What are you talking about? We just have to play Vanderbilt football. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? What does Vanderbilt football even mean? You just have to play. There's no such thing as Vanderbilt football. What? But he says that. I was like, oh, bless your heart. That is the cutest. Bro, they came out, and I tell you what, when Bama scored, I was like, uh-oh. Here's the beginning of the end. This is where the collapse occurs. And Bama made it close. Bama got real close. And then Vanderbilt never choked. I was fully expecting them to just kind of choke and collapse and fold and give it away. And they didn't. And I was stunned by that. And I really love what their coach said. I don't know his name, and I should probably look it up. But I really love what he said and what they talked about on the broadcast. Because they were like, well, what's the difference? What happened? And he was like, I'm just sick of losing. I'm just tired of losing. And I guess when you take over at Vanderbilt, you're like, all right, let's just start over. You go in and you wipe the slate clean and you say, all right, we're going to start over and we're going to try to rebuild. And he was, I don't even know the fucking coach's name. I got to look it up. But he was just like, no, we ain't doing that. I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of starting over. I'm sick of wiping the slate clean. I'm sick of all of this. We're not doing that. We're going to win with the kids we have in this building. It starts now. I'm tired of the excuses. I'm tired of all of this. We're going to win now. I'm tired of this. And they did. Vanderbilt coach, is it Clark Lee? Yeah, Clark Lee. No, let's see. Vanderbilt head coach. Oh, yeah, it is. There's no way this is accurate. Coach Clark Lee promises Vanderbilt's historic win over Alabama is only the start. Okay. I was like, promises what? He didn't promise that win. But it was a big deal. And I just love that he was like, we got to go play Vanderbilt football. What? I'm just stunned that they never collapsed. I'm stunned that they never folded. And Donna has a good point. Saban said Vandy was the easiest SEC place to play. Well, duh. Go back. I bet you if you go back and look at their attendance records, it's not great. And hey, what up, Shock? Good to see you, buddy. Shock has a great point. Way over half the stadium was traveling Bama fans. Yeah. Like that, but it might as well have been a road game. It was just, they just won. And they definitely got the biggest nerd they could find because the athlete looked like an SEC team. What? I don't know what that means. I'm sick of my fantasy teams not performing up to my expectations. Get him, Spoon. It was one of the biggest upsets to me. Nora was like, well, I don't understand. I'm like, babe, Vanderbilt as a football team has been one of the biggest losing programs in college football history. Like, they're just not a good football team. They have never, I mean, you guys know I relegated them out of the SEC. Total Dallas made fun of me on Twitter. He goes, that win, Vanderbilt dedicated that win to Barry because he relegated them out of the SEC. If you'll recall, this goes back to a previous topic we just talked about here on the show. If you recall, a few weeks ago, I said that the NCAA was coming for the NFL. The NCAA was headed towards two conferences, two super conferences with divisions. And that I think they should have a great model where they relegate teams in and out of those super conferences. So if you've played like shit for a year or two, you're out. And well, teams that are playing good are in. So that way, when a team like Florida State shits the bed and goes 1-5 or however they're going to end up this season, oh, you're on a downswing, get out. Get out, and then we'll bring in fresh blood to fill out the bottom of the conference. And we can rotate those teams, just like soccer does. I said this weeks ago. That was a suggestion. Because who really thinks that Vandy belongs in the SEC, other than history? There's really no reason for Vandy to be in the SEC. Vandy should be in Conference USA. I just showed you. Vandy should be a Conference USA team, along with all of those names you just saw. New Mexico State. Or whatnot. The who's what. Sam Houston. That's where they belong. So, but they're bad. Vandy has been notoriously bad. In fact, let me see if I can find it. I want to look up. Vanderbilt Commodores football record. Each year. Here we go. School history. Woo, boy. All right. Let's take a gander at this. Now, this is going to be difficult for you guys to see, obviously. I'm going to try to zoom in as best I can here. Here we go. Vanderbilt's winning percentage in football. They're good at baseball. Great. No one gives a shit, though. You know what I'm saying? We're talking, this is all football related. Yeah, Clarence, that's right. They did. Vandy said, fuck you, Laminack. We are SEC. Yeah. But look at this. 2-10 last year. 5-7, 2-10, 0-9, 3-9, 6-7, 5-7, 6-7, 4-8, 3-9. Holy shit, they went 9-4. Back in 2013, 9-4, 2012. That's that Vandy football. 6-7, 2-10, 2-10. Oh my God, 7-6. 5-7, 4-8, 5-6, 2-9, 2-10, 2-10, 2-9, 3-8, 5-7. I mean, Jesus Christ, how many 2-win seasons can you have as a football program before somebody goes, hey, get the fuck out of the conference? I mean, look how many 2- and 1-win seasons they have had. Jesus, good Lord, man. Since 1985, they've had how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 1- or 2-win seasons since 1985. That's a lot. When did they join the conference? 1990? Well, before that, because it was the Southern, I guess, back then. I'm sorry, not 1990, 1933. They go all the way back to the Southern Conference in 1922. I mean, like, this is just, but it's never, I mean, god damn. Oh, they got a 1,000 winning percentage back in 1904. But it doesn't matter. I mean, Pacha's saying that's why they're still there. That shouldn't matter. If you're going to add A&M and add Oklahoma, you should be able to subtract Vandy. Bye. What? That's ridiculous. And look, this is the AP. This is the highest they've ever been in the AP poll. Let's see. The 7 back in 1937. That's it. Back in 1937, they were 7th. That's it. Hey, Taste, go fuck your mom. So that's it. Vanderbilt got the old SEC man. Yeah, okay, great. But that's not what's keeping the conference alive anymore, for sure. I mean, my God, what is their school winning percentage overall? This has to have that, right? Oh, it doesn't. Man, they've been playing football since 1902. Jeez. That's crazy. Did somebody get that spammer? Posh did. Okay. Let me see where to go. Nope, that's not it. Damn it. There we go. Alex said the 2 wins were from HCC and ITT. Probably. Shit. Yeah, I would love to see what their all-time. Here we go. Bowl record. They're 4-4-1. All time, they're 559, 644, and 43. What? That's terrible. They beat Alabama. Now, here's the crazy thing. It doesn't matter. If you're Bama, it doesn't matter. So what? You lost. No one gives a shit. One, we can go look at the top 25 and Bama fell to number 7. No big deal. It's not a big deal. Bama fell to number 7. Now, you have a very small margin of error, but this isn't like the old days when you had to be perfect to have a shot at a national championship. That's not the case anymore. Yes, the top 4 conference winners get a bye, right? And then the other 8 teams get, to play in the playoffs. But the 4 conference winners get a bye. Plus, the highest ranked non-conference team. Non-Power 5 conference team, I guess. So, this doesn't mean, though, that the season is lost. If this was 2014 instead of 2024, this would all but be over for Alabama. Because that's not a good loss. I mean, there are good losses. You lose to Georgia or whatever. That's one thing. This is not a good loss. A&M losing to Notre Dame right now looks like a good loss. This is not a good loss. But Alabama being 4-1, having beat Georgia, you can fade this. It's not a big deal. Now, as Posh said, they don't have as much room for error. But they could still lose again technically and still make the playoffs. It's just a longer, more difficult road to get there, depending on what happens with the other teams in front of them, right? Because we're going to start getting into the more difficult schedule for all of these teams. So, hey, what up? Jared said it's not the same. It's not. But if we're tearing down old statues, we can boot Vandy out the SEC. True. Let's see. Hey, what up? Mina said Vandy's steeped in tradition and values. It's a powerhouse. How dare you badmouth Vandy? Yeah. What up, Captain Pope? Thank you for the 300 bits, my friend. You, sir, are a gentleman and a scholar. He said, Barry, have you done NFL yet? My Bengals disgust me. Burrow number 1 in passing touchdowns, number 2 total QBR in the season, and they're 1-4. Thank you for the 300 bits. We have not done NFL yet. Probably do NFL tomorrow because so much college football to get to, and then we'll let Monday Night Football play out, and then we'll get into a ton. Now, I will do NFL injury reports today, but we'll probably get into the meat of NFL football tomorrow, simply because of all the upsets and shit we got to get to in college football today. But we'll do that, and we'll update the Lemonator 5000 and do some fantasy. So, but yeah, we'll definitely get into it tomorrow for sure. But Bama falling to 7, I personally, first of all, think they should have fell further. If you lose to Vanderbilt, even with a win over Georgia, you should have fallen further than just from 1 to 7. That's an awful loss. Now, what does that say about Georgia? If you lost to the team that lost to Vandy, I digress. But right now, some other teams benefited from this topsy-turvy schedule this weekend. In fact, let me see here. Let me go back to... So you didn't just have that upset. You had others, right? Ohio State beat Iowa. That was an ass whooping. But Arkansas beating Tennessee. And what's crazy is a lot of people were saying Tennessee is going to have their hands full with Arkansas. They were like, look, this is a really good Arkansas team. Tennessee better be careful. Tennessee better watch out. And I was like, really? I saw them play A&M. A&M won that game. I feel like Tennessee is a better football team than both of them. What are they talking about? Blah, blah, blah. Well, that's why they're the experts, I guess. Arkansas beating Tennessee, number 4 team in the country, 19-14. Georgia does their job, beats Auburn. Who a lot of people are like, man, Auburn is best 3-loss team, right? They had lost 2 or 3. Some tough luck losses. But they're really good, but they didn't show up at all. Penn State does their job. Miami, again, a close win. Miami should already have at least 1 loss. But this is another super duper close win for Miami. If you look now at their schedule, they trounced Florida, beat the shit out of Florida Atlantic and Ball State, but that Virginia Tech game, a lot of people think they lost that game, and then they come back and barely beat Cal. So Miami is sitting at undefeated, but it's looking a little shaky. And they were looking like world beaters when they were playing a bunch of teams that no one was really concerned about. But I mean, you really shouldn't even be concerned about Vatech and Cal. But here they are. They probably should have lost to Virginia Tech. The officials kind of fucked Virginia Tech in that one, and they barely beat Cal by 1. Now, I didn't watch the game, but it's not a good look for Miami either way. And then you got my vaunted Texas Aggies. Now, I had to do a little reverse psychology on them. I had to talk shit about them on the Twitters, and I did. I was like, I don't understand how the Aggies are favored in this game. Missouri sitting at number 9. Granted, they haven't played a lot of good teams, but you're talking about a top 10 team in the country, according to everybody that knows anything. And this Aggies offense has not looked good. Whether it didn't matter whether it was Wegman in or whether it was Reed that was in. It's just this Aggies offense has not looked good. Reed looked okay versus Florida, but it's been kind of one-dimensional, and there's been defenses looked amazing, but offensively they've really kind of struggled. And so I was really concerned about that going into this game, and holy shit, I was not expecting the Aggies to look that good. That blew my mind. The Aggies, they said that this Texans win against the Bills was a statement game. That Aggies win against Mizzou was definitely a statement game. Now, a lot of people say, watch out, you don't want to play the Aggies. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I've been an Aggie fan my entire life. You definitely want to play the Aggies. You definitely want to play the Aggies. Because they'll choke. Trust and believe. But Aggies take care of business. Michigan gets their ass whooped. No business losing to Washington. Washington is not good this year. But Michigan has been on shaky ground all season, and they lose. And then USC loses. So you had number 9 lose. You had number 10 lose. You had number 11 lose. Ole Miss does get a win, so that's great. Clemson got a bye week playing Florida State. It's just, this was a crazy, crazy, crazy week. Boise State put up a shit ton of points. SMU, what? SMU beat Louisville, who was 23rd in the country. I mean, this is just, it was wild, man. This was a crazy, crazy week. So, college football flipped upside down this week, and here's your ultimate rankings from that. Texas moved up a spot thanks to Bama losing to Vanderbilt, so they're out. Texas back at number 1. Ohio State moves up to number 2. Oregon back at number 3, where they started the season. They were at 3. They looked like they struggled a little bit. They fell all the way to 9. They're now back up to number 3, still undefeated. Even with all those struggles they've had against other opponents, they still haven't lost. They're back to number 3. Penn State is up to number 4 in the league as well. Yo, Bucket Chew, what up, man? Welcome in, Chew. Welcome in. Thank you for the raid, sir. Good to see you, my friend. Bucket Chew coming in on the raid. Welcome in, brother. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good stream, my friend. We're just going over the top 25 after all of the crazy, crazy, crazy upsets this weekend in college football. So top 5 looks like this: Texas, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Georgia. Georgia doesn't move at all. They stay at 5, which at this point, you kind of have to leave them there, because I honestly don't think Miami deserves to be where they're at necessarily. Even though they're undefeated, like I said, that's a shaky ass 6-0. But here's the thing. Let's go back. Let's walk through this real quick. Let's talk about this for a second, because you've got the cream of the crop right now. The undisputed cream of the crop is Texas and Ohio State. Make no bones about it. Now, I do think Penn State's waiting in the background. Like, well, let's see what happens. Excuse me. And they'll have a chance to prove their point. Total Dallas said either OSU or Oregon is out after this weekend. I'm guessing this is when they play each other. Yep. Yeah, that must be there. Yep. Okay. Well, I wouldn't say out of it. Who in the ACC will best Miami? That's a good question. We'll look at that too. But here's let me finish my thoughts on the top 25 real quick here. I think it's no doubter about Texas and OSU. Texas and Ohio State belong where they're at. Oregon had a slow start. They're at 3. Penn State is at 4, and Georgia at 5. Miami, they have had 2 weeks in a row where they almost don't deserve to be ranked where they are. Even though they won, they should have lost. Bama with the big upset. Tennessee with the big upset. Ole Miss, we know, have lost. They moved up. Clemson moved up. Iowa State has moved up. Notre Dame is now tied at 11. LSU is at 13, but has really not looked good all year. BYU is at 14 now, moved up 3. A&M with a big statement game, moved up 10 spots from 25 to 15. And they do look like a different team. Now, I will say this. Their one loss was to Notre Dame, and it was the first game of the season, and they have looked like a very different team. They're starting, how you start versus how you finish. They've looked a lot better, and they've gone a couple of games without their starting QB. Now, I'm not a big Wigman guy, but he's looked good. He looked good, I should say. He looked good Saturday against Missouri. We'll see how he continues. Utah's at 16. Boise State, after that big monster output offensively, at 17. Indiana, OU, and K-State all tied at 18, which is odd to see. Missouri falls 12 spots to 21. They go from a top 10 program with one loss. They fall all the way to 21. That's how bad it was. Pitt jumps into the top 25 at 22. Illinois moves up a spot to 23. Michigan plummets to number 24. And SMU enters the top 25 at 5-1. Here's the thing. A couple of thoughts on this. I think Miami's too high at 6. No, it's back now. Like we lost YouTube for a second. Did we lose YouTube for a second? But I honestly don't think. Honestly, Miami's too high. And you could make the case, look, Alabama beat Georgia. I get that they lost to Vanderbilt. Do they deserve to be that high also, though? Should Tennessee be that high with their loss? This is one of those things where it really just becomes, you have to really sit down and say, do you honestly think Tennessee losing to Arkansas, probably the best upset out of all of these, right? Alabama losing to Vandy is awful, but do you think, if you assess this, is Miami really better than Alabama? If Miami and Alabama play, who do you think wins that 10 out of 10 games? Out of 10 games, I mean, who's winning, right? If they played right now head to head, who you taking? Money on the line. Say all your savings on the line. You're taking Bama. You know what I mean? So that's why I think when you look at some of this, you have to really assess, is this just, well, you can't do this? Or are we honestly ranking teams on who you think the best teams in this list are? Because this goes as more of like a power rankings than an actual rankings. Power rankings are like who's hot right now, who's good right now, as opposed to who's just the best teams in the country. Because despite their 2 losses, Bama and Georgia are better than Miami. They're probably better than Penn State. They probably both belong in the top 5. But that's not how this works. So, and I would say, with A&M's big win, having lost to Notre Dame, they probably deserve to be a little higher up. LSU has looked a little shaky. I mean, if BYU and A&M played right now, who would you take? I think I would take A&M. So this is one of those things. This is going to be, and none of this really does. I mean, some of it matters, but also it kind of doesn't, especially this early. But the good news is there's still plenty of time and a ton of games. And like Total Dallas was pointing out earlier, look, there's a lot of these teams still have a lot of big games ahead of them on the schedule. I mean, if we just look at the top 10 teams, what did I do there? And their schedules, it gets pretty crazy pretty quick for all of them. They all have a ton. Where did I get to? Penn State, Georgia, Miami, Bama, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Clemson. I don't think Clemson's a top 10 team either, by the way. But if we just look at like schedule, go away. I'll go full schedule for all of these teams. I mean, they're all holding their destiny in their own hands, right? Because Texas still has to play OU, Georgia, and A&M. They still have 3 ranked teams to play. And this one is the Red River rivalry. I mean, Georgia is Georgia. And then A&M is a rivalry game that they haven't played in a while, but trust me, that's going to be a big game for both programs. It always has been. It's a Thanksgiving game. That's going to be huge. That is going to be huge. And it's going to be more difficult whatever A&M is ranked at that time and whatever Texas is ranked, it's going to be a difficult game. Oh, is it Red River Shootout now? Is that what they're calling it? I think they changed it to rivalry. I don't think they say shootout anymore because of the violence. So Texas has a tough row to hoe, so to speak. Ohio State still has to play the number 3 team in the country, the number 4 team in the country. They have Indiana, who's 18, and Michigan. But that's a rivalry game. And just like that A&M Texas game, doesn't matter what Michigan is. It doesn't matter. It's going to be a tough game, but they still have to play 2 top 5 teams and 4 top 25 teams. So not an easy schedule left. Oregon, we know they play Ohio State, but who else do they have? I mean, they got 2 top 25 teams, but 23 and 24 in Illinois and Michigan. Oregon might have the easiest if they can get past Ohio State. And I said that as much before the season started. Oregon has the best chance to run the table if they can get past Ohio State. Penn State still has Ohio State, and that's it. Don't sleep on Penn State. Georgia. Georgia has Texas, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. That ain't easy. Miami still has, oh my goodness. Who asked earlier who's going to knock off Miami? Who was that? Where did that go? Oh, yeah. Jared said if Bama beats Georgia, then Vandy beats Bama. Vandy should be 1, right? Who was it that was asking about Miami? Oh, yeah. Total Dallas. Who in the ACC will best Miami? Well, it won't be FSU. I'll tell you that much. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Syracuse was one of those teams that was off to a really good start. If Louisville doesn't beat Miami, then they're probably not going to lose the rest of the season. Now imagine that. They should have lost to Virginia Tech. They damn near lost to Cal. But if they don't lose to Louisville, they're probably going to run the table, which means this team that's been shaky all season is going to go undefeated. That's crazy. Crazy, right? So then Bama, they still have on their schedule, let's see, where is it? Let me get the rest of these. We're just doing top 10 here. And let's see. So Bama still has Tennessee, Missouri, LSU, and OU. Damn. That's not easy, man. They have 4 top 25 teams. And Auburn, I mean, that's not the most difficult thing in the world, but it's still, I mean, the Iron Bowl is still going to be a tough game. But Tennessee, Missouri, LSU, and OU is going to be tough. Tennessee has let's see, they got Bama and Georgia left. So not the most difficult schedule. Oh, never mind. Hold the phone. They still got Vanderbilt. And then Ole Miss, they still got OU and Georgia left. That's pretty easy. Oh, and LSU. Sorry, they got LSU, Ole Miss. Ole Miss has LSU, OU, and Georgia. And then lastly, rounding out the top 10, Clemson. All they have left is Pitt. So, as you can see, man, only really Miami, Penn State, Oregon, and Clemson kind of have the easiest schedules, I'd say. I mean, Penn State has what? The 1 ranked team in Ohio State left? Miami has fucking nobody. Clemson has Pitt. And then, yeah, Tennessee has 2 really tough teams left. But, no. It's going to be fun. Who are you talking to, Dre? It says you believe now. In who? Posh says if A&M beats LSU, that game against Texas could be a top 10 matchup. Right. It could. And what's crazy, let's pull up A&M's schedule, because as of right now, oddly enough, A&M This sounds really stupid to say, but A&M is, hold on, let me move this. They're leading the SEC. It makes no damn sense. But A&M is leading the SEC right now because they're 3-0 in conference. They've played 3 conference games already. Look at everybody else is 1-1. Look, Georgia's 2-1. Arkansas. I mean, just Bama losing to Vandy. They're 3-0 in conference play. Texas is 1-0. LSU is 1-0. That's crazy. And I mean, their only loss really was to Notre Dame. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Here is their schedule. Where'd it go? That's Texas. Here's A&M's remaining schedule. Let's see what it looks like. At 15, they still have Mississippi State, LSU, South Carolina, New Mexico State, Auburn, and Texas. So they got 2 ranked teams left. LSU is going to be tough. That's always a tough one. LSU's looked shaky all year. But like Posh said, man, if they win that very well could be 2 top 10 teams playing. You know what's crazy is if they beat LSU, that Texas game could be actually, if they beat Texas and don't lose, that's for the SEC championship. What? I mean, it could be. Well, they would be, no, because they would have to play again, right? Is it? No, because there's, no, that would be it, right? Yeah, because there's no ties. So that would be for the conference championship. That's crazy. You would actually get a conference championship game. Oh, wait, is there an SEC championship game? There should be, right? Oh, yeah, there is. 2024. Yeah, what am I thinking? So they would still, let's see. It's going to be the top 2 teams. So they would play twice in a row. Yeah, that's right. I forget. Who was it that doesn't? It was the Big 12. Duh. Yeah, SEC championship game. Duh. Okay. So that would mean, oh no, one of them would lose. Oh, okay. So yeah, if one of them loses, then there would be a bunch of 1-loss teams and 1 undefeated team. So that game would be to go to the SEC championship game. Yeah. And then, yeah, Donna said no trust in the LSU defense. Yeah. And then that would be interesting to see of those what 1-loss team would be the other to make it. Because your 1 loss would be to the champion. Of those 2 teams, your 1 loss would be to the champion. Interesting. It's going to be real interesting. Clarence said dogs are beating Texas. No. Aggies points against versus Texas is big. Oh, yeah, 100-35. Yeah, points for 225 to 186. Yeah, but they've also, well, they've played an extra game too. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, and like I said, that Aggies defense, it's gotten a lot better. Aggies are different now than they were, for sure. Texas has played a bunch of scrubs. That too. Here, look, Texas has played Colorado State, Michigan, UTSA, ULM, and Mississippi State. The Aggies have played Notre Dame. I don't even know who the fuck that is. Florida, Bowling Green, Arkansas, Missouri. Hey, Arkansas is tough. Missouri's tough. Notre Dame is tough, obviously. Yeah, those are two quality wins, and I don't know. There's no such thing as a quality loss, I guess. But yeah, Texas really hasn't played anybody other than Michigan, and Michigan, now we know Michigan ain't shit. So, I mean, look, don't get me wrong. Texas has looked great. Texas is by far the number one team in the country, and they deserve to be there. But that is not a murderer's row schedule. Now, they've had a hand in making Michigan look bad this year for sure. Michigan, you know, their number 24 ranking is due in part thanks to Texas beating them, you know? So they've earned it. But Michigan just hasn't been Michigan. So spread against OU is minus 14. OU's not OU either. We'll see. Oh, yeah. I told Elsa that's why I'm not making Manning the starter competition. Competition what? Quarterback competition or the competition that they're playing? Oh, the competition that he's played against? UTSA, ULM, and Mississippi State? Yeah. Well, could be. Yeah. I don't know. Nice, Joe Pro. What up, man? Michigan. Nice. Yeah, competition played. Probably said you'd be a nail biter or a blowout. It is a rivalry game. It doesn't matter. That's the crazy thing, man. It just doesn't matter. And here's what OU has done and who they've played so far. OU has lost. Their loss was to Tennessee. They beat a good Auburn team. They just got whooped by Tennessee, and everybody else has just not been close. So, but OU is just not a sexy team. They're not the sexy OU they used to be. But boy, they've got a tough schedule ahead of them too. Look at that. They still have Texas, Ole Miss, Missouri, Alabama, and LSU. Good luck, Sooner. More like later. See you later, because you're out of there. OU's got a fuck. Man, if OU runs the table, they're the number one team in the country. Shit. Look at that. That's tough. I mean, Auburn, they've had a couple of losses that they could have won, should have won, but yeah. If Vandy beats Texas. Yeah, I keep forgetting Vandy. Vandy doesn't play Texas. Vandy doesn't play Texas. Oh, do they? Oh, they do, don't they? Yeah, they do. Never mind. Right there. Yeah. Fuck, I was looking at OU. Lots of, there is a ton of interesting games. I mean, college football schedule this year, tons of parity. And you know what? It has everything to do with these two big ass super conferences. Think about that. Think about OU and Texas would normally be in the Big 12. They would never be playing Georgia or Bama or any of these other SEC teams. We wouldn't have A&M Texas back together playing again on Thanksgiving. I mean, it's if you're a college football fan, this is huge, man. I'm loving this. Same thing up north in the Big Ten. The fact that we're getting Oregon and Ohio State this coming week, we would have never gotten this game in the past. You'd have had to wait to the playoffs to get it. I love it. I'm here for it. Captain Pope said, I don't like it. You might as well watch the real pros. Roster's not stable. No idea who the players are. What are you talking about? Football teams? But it's always been like that. The rosters have never been stable. College football's always had turn. Well, oh, you're talking about the transfer portal. I mean, look, the problem is it was never fair to the kids, though, Captain Pope. It was never fair to the kids. Coaches could leave whenever they want. Athletic directors, everybody could leave whenever they want. The only people in the whole college football landscape that were required, contractually required to stay put was the athlete. Advertisers could pull out, networks could pull out, coaches.
Heck yeah.
I mean, literally everybody could change their mind except the athletes. It made no sense. And now that the athletes can leave, everyone's like, well, this is not okay. Well, what the fuck? Everyone else can change jobs. And then people are like, well, it's not a job. Think about how much revenue they generate. It absolutely is a job. If it's not, then let's not play for money. Let's not make money off of them. I mean, they're generating millions and billions of dollars. The fact of the matter is, you're going to have to treat it that way. Period. This is not intramural amateur athletics. It's just not. When you're making billions off the back of kids, it's not intramural. It's not amateur. It's a business. And you got to pay people. Period. Captain Pope said, I get that, but I don't like the product as much as I did a decade ago. My whole life, the media tried to fix college football. Now we get this mess. Exactly. Watch the real pros. But it's not the real pros, right? But at the same time, it's still different. I mean, it's a different product. It's a different level of athlete. It's a different level of coach. It's a different level of, it's a different style of football still, right? It's a different type of fan. It's a different type of atmosphere still. It's still like, in football, you have ownership. You're playing for an owner. You don't have that in college, right? You're still a student athlete per se, but you are getting paid. So, I mean, there's still this weird thing. But no, and look, I'm fully behind, hey, you know what? If you're going to, right now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Well, but why are you holding athletes to loyalty to a school? Why? Why are you holding athletes to a certain accountability of loyalty? You don't hold the coaches to loyalty to a school. Why should the athletes have to be loyal? No one else is. Fans aren't loyal. They jump bandwagons all the time. Coaches change all the time. You said you prefer the NFL. Guys change teams. Why is it different for student athletes? Why? Why is it different? Why should they have to be locked in? Why does that water down the product for you if they move? Does it water it down in baseball or basketball or any other sport that they can change teams? They don't have contracts, though. They have contracts in free agency. Okay. Captain Pope said student athletes are free agents every single year. Yeah, but understand they're not getting paid from the schools. They're getting advertising money. Let me ask you something. Could you go to U of H this year and then switch schools and go somewhere else next year? You can bounce around to any school you want. They're not contractually obligated to any of these schools because the schools aren't paying them. The NIL deals is essentially advertising deals, right? The schools don't pay this money. So if I'm a student athlete, if I'm, Joe quarterback and I'm playing for U of H and I get a deal with the Daspit law firm and they give me 10 grand, that's for the season or whatever. I can transfer. That's done. I don't get that money anymore. But it doesn't mean that I'm beholden to stay at U of H for 4 years. I'm not signing a contract with U of H. I'm signing it with the Daspit law firm. So all these kids that are making all this NIL money, it has nothing to do with the schools. Now, the schools might facilitate getting these sponsors and getting this money, but they're not writing the checks and they're not trying to lock these kids up into contracts because they can't. Because if you missed the beginning of the show, we had a whole long discussion because an article came out about this antitrust lawsuit. They're not employees. And that's what the NCAA, trust me, is fighting to keep them non-employees because they don't want a union. So, look, I mean, I get why you don't like them changing schools. What's different though, man? And how often does it happen? And why should, I mean, what are we really talking about? Your favorite team or just college football in general? Because your favorite team, you're going to learn your players. Is it just because you don't, I think we've got spoiled and we benefited from it as fans because it was easy every 4 years. It was like, all right, well, I know who's who. I know that quarterback is going to be at that school for 4 years or until he declares for the draft. And I don't have to worry about it anymore. And it was unfair to that kid if he was like, well, fuck, this school sucks. They're not trying to win, or this coach sucks, or this coach left. I mean, think about that, man. You go to a school like let's say you get recruited by Dion, and you go to Colorado, and you're promised the moon, and then you find out that it's dysfunctional, and they're bullying people, and it's just a shit show. Why shouldn't you be allowed to say, fuck this place, I'm out? I mean, you should be allowed to go wherever the fuck you want at any time. And as fans, I mean, it's not like they're leaving college. They're just going to a different one. I don't know. Captain Post said, I'm not saying it's wrong, Barry. I just think it's a mess. Like the NFL is more regulated. I also think too, and I get your point, and you're right. The NFL is more regulated because they're employees of the NFL. So NCAA kind of has their hands tied, but they also don't want them to be employees because they don't. That's a whole other can of worms. But I also think, too, what makes it more complicated, Captain Pope, and I do agree with this, is the number of players and the number of schools. There's only 32 teams in the NFL, which means there's only so many players. But in college football, there's 117 schools or 120-something schools. How many schools are there now? How many? How many FBS football schools are there? 134 now. Jesus. Woo. That's a lot. Yeah, so that makes it confusing as shit. And I get that. But I mean, too, we only keep up with, I mean, it'd be like if I asked you, we were looking at that top 10 or top 25. It's like, do you give a shit who's at Kentucky? You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, we don't care. No one gives a shit. You care about the top 20, maybe 15 teams in the country. It's all, and the team, your alma mater or your favorite team. And then you care about the other 10 or 12 or 15 blue chip programs. That's all you keep up with. It's about the same as the NFL. You probably couldn't name all 3 starting wide receivers on all 32 teams in the NFL. But you know all the superstars. So PB Dub said, okay, make them pay for their tuition, board, and travel with the NIL money. Why would they pay their travel? Why would they pay their travel? And why would they pay their tuition and board? So that would be like saying that you would make an NFL person pay for, or an NFL player would have to pay for their travel to city. So these players are not employees, they're contractors, but they're making these schools so much money that was the point. They're not getting any revenue from, here's the thing, is you guys are saying, well, make them pay for their tuition, make them pay for their travel and all this. Well, hold on. They're still making these schools a ton of money. Why are you mad at them? All they're doing is making money on advertising, and they have the ability to change schools whenever they want. Why is that? What? Yeah, the schools, you said the schools don't give them anything. They give them an education. The schools still give them the education. That's it. The schools don't give them anything but an education. That's what they give them. They give them an education. They get money. See, this is the whole thing. This is the whole thing. For years, if you were a student athlete, you couldn't have a job and you couldn't get money for your autograph. You couldn't endorse another company. So if Bob's Fried Chicken in Bryan College Station wanted to pay you $100 to say, I love Bob's Fried Chicken, you couldn't take that $100. It was illegal. But the school can make all of these millions and millions of dollars off of you playing football. And that was the whole point of NIL. Why can't I make money off of my face, off of my autograph? And so the legal system stepped in and said, you absolutely can. They're not taking a dime out of the college's money from playing football, and the college isn't paying them a dime. The college is still giving them a scholarship. They're still giving them an education, and the student is still playing football to earn that education and to earn that scholarship. The only other difference is now the transfer portal has allowed students to be able to transfer to a different school just like coaches can. It's a level playing field. Think about how many coaches go in and in the first year, they're like, well, I got a better offer, I'm out. Why has this ever been okay for coaches but not students? I've never understood how you'd be mad about that. I don't understand that. And again, you guys, I'm confused if you want them to be professional football players or students. What do you mean? You can be both. You can be both. You can be both. Why do we have to draw that line in the sand that says you can't go to school and get a degree and be paid to play football at the same time? Why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't it be both? If I'm playing football for this institution, why can't part of the perks be an education and a salary? It's like if I work at Pizza Hut, I get $10 an hour and all the fucking pizza I want. So if I go to the University of Texas, I get an education and money if I play football, right? Now, this is the discussion about the schools paying them. That's the discussion we had in hour one of the show. Not present day. I'm saying, why can't it be both? Why can't they be a student athlete who gets paid to play football? It's not currently that way. They just make advertising dollars. They get paid to be spokesperson for something. I don't understand. I mean, I feel like you guys aren't grasping the concept and the differences of the two either. But I don't know. Like, it's wild to me that as fans, we expect these guys to be limited when if they were trying to limit you, you would be irate. But you can't change schools. Why not? You can't change jobs. Why not? If I'm unhappy, I should be able to leave and go where I want. This is fucking America. Nope. Let me try to catch up on the chat here. Let's see. Make these kids have to pay for an agent. Let's see. Can go somewhere else in the next year, no penalty. I'm not. I just prefer NFL. Don't forget that alumni live everywhere. They have contracts, though, and free agency. Student athletes are free agents every single year now. Yeah. And again, those contracts and everything is with the advertisers, not the schools. They still have scholarships. These college players are students. They're getting $200K plus a degree. Yes. Again, I don't understand why you guys don't think students can't make money and be paid. Who says that? Who said that? You know who said that? You know who ingrained that into your thought process? The NCAA did. Do you know why they did that? Because they didn't want to share the fucking money with the athletes. That's why. And it's worked because we've been told that our entire lives. There's a difference between students and professionals. What? Why? I mean, yes, there's amateur athletics and professional athletics. Amateurs don't get paid. Professionals get paid. But what's the difference between being able to get an education and be paid? You can do both. You know how many students go to school and get an education and work? You know how many students get a scholarship and have a job? Think about that. There are students that get an education, that get a scholarship, and are still able to hold a job today. But unless they're a student athlete, and then they're not allowed. Or they weren't. So you weren't allowed, if you were an athlete, you weren't allowed to get a scholarship and have a job. If you were a non-athlete on scholarship, have at it. What? And the whole point was, well, we're worried about cheating. What? No, you're not. No, you're not. You said the schools don't give them anything. Oh, I meant money-wise. Yeah, the schools aren't giving them the money right now. Okay, I'm trying to keep up with the chat. This is a lot. There's like 5 different conversations. I have a friend who's a Bears fan that hates Caleb Williams because he's a Sooner and he left OU for USC. I think that's ridiculous. Yeah. Okay, I'm just trying to... I feel like I'm way too far behind now. Yeah, there you go. Mark made the exact point. It's like someone on academic scholarship having a job somewhere else. Athletes used to be blocked from having jobs. Yep, this is their job now. Exactly. U of A shouldn't be in the business of having a pro football team. Not what universities are. It's basically how the university funds itself is the football revenue. I mean, let's be honest. If it wasn't for football, some of these universities wouldn't have sports. They wouldn't have the money if it wasn't for their football programs. And guess what? If it wasn't for those fucking athletes putting their bodies on the line, they wouldn't have football. The only person it's not both is because it looks unfair to the volleyball players or rowing team that doesn't get paid. Why are the universities in the business of having pro football teams? See, I fundamentally disagree with that. That's what the NFL is for. I mean, look, I do agree that, yeah, there's pro sports where all they do is play professional football. But I'd pay money for Barry's face. Okay. Then what's the point of a scholarship if you want them to pay because they're making money? I'm so confused. Aaron said they sound like get off my lawn, guys. Go to the XFL or whatever it's called. Wow, you guys, you guys really think that you either have to be a student and can't make money, or you have to be a pro and can't get an education, but it can't be both. That is such an antiquated way of thinking. I mean, I literally talked about this weeks ago when I said that the NFL was going to be in trouble. And I told you guys, the NFL has never had competition before. The XFL, the USFL, they've never had anybody, the CFL, Europe, they've never had anybody threaten them because they've never had anybody that could. Until now. And do you know why? And I've said this on the show. The reason the NCAA can actually be a threat to the NFL as a product is because not only can they compete with them financially and monetarily, but they can offer them something that the NFL can't, and that's an education. That is a bonus. So yes, kid, we can pay you and we can get you an education so that when you're done playing football, you can start a business or whatever. And then the other benefit is you're not physically mature enough to go play in the NFL yet, possibly. And if that's the case, you can still make millions here while getting an education and then go play in the NFL at the same time. And that is a serious, serious threat to the NFL. I'm just telling you, everyone thinks that the giant can't be toppled. You know what I mean? Everyone thinks that the NFL can't be toppled. You better ask the PGA about that. You better ask MySpace. You better ask radio if it can't be toppled by podcast. You better ask television if it can't be toppled by streaming. You better ask the cassette. You better ask the record. You better ask record companies. They got toppled by SoundCloud, independent artists. I'm telling you, every giant can be toppled. And the NFL sees if they're not seeing it, has a serious, serious threat in the NCAA. This is slowly moving in that direction because they have the money and they have an intangible in the fact that they can also offer an education at the same time to kids who might not be fully physically developed, and it's still a fun and great product. Just say it. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Connor Bedard was 17 when the Blackhawks drafted him, but there's some kids that just won't be developed. That's right, Dubs. Ask the Atari 2600. That's a good conversation, though. I love it. I like this disagreement. This is fucking awesome, man. Captain Pope, I dig it, bro. And I'm with you. Captain Pope, you're right. The NFL is not losing sleep. They're never going to see it coming. And I promise you, the PGA didn't see it coming. And the UFC won't see it coming when it happens. But it'll happen. It'll happen. It will happen. I promise you. You mark my words. This show may not even be around when it happens, but I promise you guys, if nothing else, not the UFC or anything else, you mark my words, one day the NCAA boxing didn't see it coming. UFC, what is that? Just a bunch of sweaty dudes in a cage rolling around? Whatever. That's ridiculous. That's never going to supplant blocks. Boxing has been around forever. You think baseball was scared of basketball? You think baseball was scared of football? Yeah, Captain Webb said, look at Super Bowl numbers compared to the Natty. That's fine. It's just not there yet. But it will be. You guys sure are using that word never a lot. Never say never, Titan Hugo. Never say never. I never would have thought the Oilers would have left Houston. It's a football town. Never say never, my friends. Mark it down. Bookmark it. Clip it. Put it in your log or your journal. Whatever you want. But I promise you, there will come a day when the NCAA will be a direct competitor of the NFL. The NCAA will be the NFL's biggest competitor. It's trending that way. They're working on it. They're getting there. They're getting there. Well, you could say that. Stephen Leather guy said, can I say Will Levis will never be a Super Bowl MVP? Yeah, you can probably say that. Titan Hugo said boxing and PGA MMA aren't in a different genre. They were the biggest in their class, though. They're the like, what do you talk like? Golf, there's nothing bigger in golf than the PGA. It was like nothing would supplant the ultimate goal was to be on the PGA. Boxing was the preeminent combat sport. You know what I mean? Like, and then along came mixed martial arts and the UFC, and the UFC thinks its shit don't stink. And I'm telling you. All it takes is money. Ask the PGA. So, Captain Bub said, I think the NCAA just feeds the NFL players. Hard for me to imagine true competitors. Possible. In my lifetime, not likely. Okay. I mean, I feel like you guys haven't been listening to this show when I've mapped it out for you. Either that or you just think that I'm a fucking idiot. But I stand by what I said. We are more than halfway to 2-conference, multi-division NCAA football. I've been warning you about it. And every week we get closer. Every week we get closer to a 2-conference, multi-division football program in the NCAA, just like the NFL is. And when that happens, they're going to be direct competitors. And we're so close. The Big Ten is the AFC. The SEC is the NFC. And we're so close. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. I love this conversation, though. I love this kind of back and forth dialogue. It makes for a fantastic show. Doesn't look like anybody else liked it, though. Everybody left. Oh, well. Say something funny. What's up, Stephen? The other guy said, fuck this goddamn job. Remember me? Love you, buddy. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. 31 months. That's crazy talk, sir. Jared Taylor said, students are not employees. They are if you pay them. So you're telling me a professor can't teach at the school and get his education from the school at the same time? Are you telling me that a student can't work for the school in the cafeteria and get his degree from that school at the same time? Is that what you're telling me, Jared? Can the student work at the Life Sciences Center and get his degree at the same time? I feel like there's students that maybe wash the towels or get the water and get paid and get an education. Oh, it's called work study. Oh. All right, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Hey, do me 3 favors. Be safe, be kind, love each other. Y'all, we're going to talk NFL tomorrow. We're going to talk about Captain Pope's shitty-ass Bengals. And them Houston Texans, boy. Be scared, NFL. Be scared, bitches. Be scared. Saints, not Saints. Spoon, your Chiefs are booty and the Texans are coming for them. That's right. Suck it, nerd. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I love you. Bye. Daddy's making a YouTube video.